Yeah, you did it once. Right, okay. Whenever you're ready, guys.
How many people of you in the audience own a smartphone? How many people use it as a daily base essential? Well, our documentary will be suitable for you as a viewer because it covers the daily basis things that you would use, like smartphones.
Why will this be successful? This will be successful because everyone knows that phones and technology is growing to be a necessity for everybody. Being without technology is just kind of an alien factor now. People would watch this because it would help them make decisions about which phone is better over which other phone and which is like the best phone to have at this moment in time. This topic can apply to all ages, varying from our age even to adults, because it's just everybody uses phones. And everyone owns a smartphone now, so, well, not everyone, but mostly everyone owns a smartphone, so this will relate to a lot of people. Extras. It's been said that in every single household, there's at least one smartphone. So that kind of shows you how big smartphones are and just how essential it is that every household can have at least one. And everyone is keeping up with the current technology, which means that's not even just phones. That means like people have laptops, even cars. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot of technology to be keeping up with.
The phones that will be participating in our documentary is the iPhone 5, the Samsung S3, the HTC X1, and the BlackBerry Bold 9900. We picked these 4 phones because right now they're the most used, most popular, and most in demand in most phone shops, which is basically what all the target audiences would like to know about these phones. Yeah, this just covers what I just said earlier. Well, it's most recent models, it's well known, and everyone's always comparing it online, and the company's always suing each other.
This is about interviews. This will be like who we're interviewing. We'll be interviewing people that work in like phone shops, other students, other people that we know like outside of school. What we'll be interviewing, we'll obviously be interviewing them about like phones and their views on that. That's to be decided. We've already done a few interviews, but we've still got the ones from people that work in shops and people from outside of school. Where we've got some on location, but the ones we've already done have been in the studio. So yeah, and why? Because it will help us get information on this topic to show in our presentation. This is one of the interviews we've already had. If you just play the video and show them.
Because I find that the navigation I'd say Samsung Galaxy S3 because I find that the navigation on the phone is best out of other smartphones that I've experienced before, and also it has more free apps than any other phone, well, smartphone. Okay. The Samsung S3. It was a BlackBerry. I got that when I was in year 9. I had loads of difficulties with that phone because it could have been for the simple fact that I dropped it a couple of times, but I felt that there were always defaults with the trackpad on the phone, and I didn't appreciate that. So after a while, I made that change from BlackBerry to Samsung Galaxy S3. Yeah, it does interest me a fair bit. When originally in year 9, when I was considering purchasing a BlackBerry, I must say that the idea of BlackBerry Messenger really did appeal to me. So that's the main reason why I jumped from, you know, any other phone to a smartphone. I mean, just simple things like easy navigation and, you know, good apps, good games, you know, the basic things, and obviously for it to operate properly. So, on average every 2 minutes.
As you can see, this was an interview from a student. It was in the studio. We just asked her a few questions about what she felt about smartphones, like what her first smartphone was, and other questions like that, to just get some information. The questions we had, we thought were good, but for different people that we asked, we feel we needed to change the questions. In this interview, we didn't break, or have not broken any of the Ofcom rules, because we've kept it like non-biased, so we don't have any opinion on any like phone, so we're not biased in any way, so it will be fine with Ofcom. This is just some of the things that Ofcom says that we need to have so that it will be okay. This is basically just protecting the under 18s. So it says that we have to have a signature or consent from their parent and guardian saying that they're allowed to do this, and if they require, we have to blur them out or keep their identity hidden so that it doesn't show who they are.
Things that we have considered, our target audience. We'll be aiming this documentary to people that are ages of around 16 to 30, where it's been shown that mostly these ages purchase smartphones. Interviews, I have emailed a few people that work in Carphone Warehouse, Vodafone, O2, and other leading brands of shops, and they still need to reply, but I have got a reply from someone that works in Carphone Warehouse in Woolwich. Locations. With different people, we could film in different places, such as the person who works in Carphone Warehouse, we could film him in the shop, and students, we could film in the studio, where we could easily blur them out, edit it straight away, and see if they would like that video to put in the documentary. Channels that we will be airing it on could be on the main channels like BBC Three, where it's broadcasted around 6 all the way till 10 or 11, and we could have our documentary in between like a comedy and a normal program that we watch regularly, or we could have it on Channel 5 straight after Gadget Show, which is also related to our documentary because it's a technology show. Fees, rental fees and production fees, we have taken that into account, and we've made a table which is here. We had made a graph which is not working right now on Reese's account, but we did make a table with prices of rental fees for cameras, Mac Studios and editing software. And we've also made a Gantt chart which shows us the times we'll be filming certain people, days and everything that's going to happen within our production. Background research, we found out that on Channel 5 Gadget Show there was roughly 1 million views almost on the latest episode, and we've also found out that BBC Three would get many views on our documentary because the time it will be broadcasted, which mainly around 6 to 7, where us as students would have free time to do watch TV and stuff like that. In this, we can see that we've done all our research, where there's been SWOT analysis, where we've had our ideas, where we could get like extra things. Over here, we see that there's target audience and everything, and yeah. Relevant research. Because we're students, we go under the category of ERA, where it's Education Recording Agency, where we're allowed to use some copyrighted footage because we're students, but also fair dealing, where we're allowed to use some videos that have been published on YouTube and stuff like that for our archive footage.
This is basically our SWOT analysis. So it is basically just saying that we need to find people that can that know our documentary and can like answer our questions. A weakness would probably be that the people who we want to interview, we won't be able to. There's also a different, the opportunity would be there's a different variety of people to view from, like different generations, sexes, social groups, and etc. And the threat would be that because it's such a relevant idea, it could be like used quite a lot. So there might be other documentaries competing with ours.
And that's our pitch. Is there any questions from the audience?
I have a question. Are you know the network providers?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be relevant in your documentary, or are you just going to forget about them and focus on just the models?
Well, overall, we'll be just focusing on a model, because network is not really a big deal to mobile phones, because it's more mainly about software, brands, and how the phone actually will function. Because with a SIM card, you can put any SIM card and it'll work the same. What channel are you going to put it on?
As said before, it could go on any of the BBCs. BBC Three would be a good one because a lot of teenagers to like middle-aged people watch that show because of things like Family Guy and like the news. But we could done, as Jason said before, on BBC 5 or Channel 5. That because that has the gadget show on it, so that's also relevant.
Remind me about the factual issues in relation to your...
Basically, we're going to keep it as a balanced documentary where we have several people who we will interview. As someone who works in Carphone Warehouse, they wouldn't be as biased because they will be up to date with new phones. They have different phones because they get cheap, and they will be able to give us specific details about each phone. As one of our interviews showed, we had someone who had a Samsung S3, but that could be that there was not biased, but as an audience could see it as biased because that person had owned a phone. But overall, we'll have a lot of interviews showing that there are different people with different opinions.
Because everyone does favour a different phone, don't they?
Yeah.
But you're balancing it because you're looking at different models, aren't you?
Different types.
What about the new BlackBerry?
The new BlackBerry, we didn't take that into account because it's like recent, and we got these phones which are like released at the same time,
Okay.
and they said that they were like the best phones, so we had to compare them.
What do you think about it anyway?
The BlackBerry,
Yeah.
I think that it's not a good phone overall, but I think that there are other phones that could be better.
Um,
One.
Do you think the new BlackBerry can challenge with the any up and coming Samsung phones?
I highly doubt it, but seeing as it's a new phone and it will have a certain buzz to it, I guess people would still get it, but compared to another Samsung phone, I reckon, well, it all depends on what BlackBerry brings out on it. But compared to like what Samsung has already, I doubt it will be that much of a competition.
Have you taken into account that most of the teenagers you're appealing to have Blackberries?
We've taken that into account, but also most teenagers now would move on to the iPhone or Samsung, which is the main reason why we did this documentary, because loads of people on the internet and in real life they argue about these two phones, and the companies are always suing each other for using each other's technology, etc., etc. And then with the Samsung and iPhone, which is like push the BlackBerry out of market.
So is that the naming documentary? What's the best smartphone?
Yeah.
Or that's what you're trying to figure out. So are you going to tell us what you think at the end? Or-
We both have different opinions of
Okay.
phones,
Yeah.
which we would be able to put in. But if we was in the documentary, it would make it look like we're actually saying that it's the best phone, but we're just saying that there are pros and cons to each phone. So we
it's
have to.
almost like a rhetorical question. You
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
answer it, do you?
Yeah, we're not going to answer, but it's just kind of like a thing to think about.
I've heard like there's like a lot of competition between iPhone 5 and the Galaxy 3, I think it is. So like, why didn't you put that in your?
We have, if you look, well, you can't really see it because there's like a man there, but in this like section where we had brainstormed our ideas, we had a few videos on there, like comparing the phones already, and on there we had the S3 and the iPhone, but it's just they're always compared with each other, so it's like hard to get like every single one, if you understand what I'm saying.
How many people will you interview per phone?
Per phone, we will roughly have 2, because we've interviewed someone who has previously had iPhone and they despised it. They wanted the Samsung instead. But then there was also someone who had a Samsung and said the Samsung was the best phone. But we'll also have to like take into account that if we added them into a documentary, would it make it look biased or non-biased? Because we're making it as if we're balanced, and we want to like don't have an effect on anyone's mind on like which phone's the best.
Would you need to get an interview from someone that doesn't own a smartphone at all?
Yeah, we could do, because yeah, that'd be quite interesting, because they would, it could, their opinion could be like completely different to everyone else's if they don't have an like a smartphone, because they wouldn't really know how it works, because like the jump from like a regular phone to, I say, like a normal Nokia to like an iPhone, it's a really massive gap between the things you can do on the phone. So it'll be interesting to see what they would think in this situation.
But like furthermore, now everyone owns nearly a smartphone. Because my nephew, he's only like 7, he owns an iPhone, and then there's like people who are like 80 and they also own smartphones and stuff like that. So it will be hard to look for people who don't own one.